Assalamualaikum and hi. In this video, we're going to look into the 5 rules for Java variable naming. So what are these 5 rules? The first is to start with a letter or underscore. So every variables that you declare in Java need to start with a letter or underscore. The second one is your variable should not have special characters. The third one is no spaces. The fourth is for the variable, they should not be a reserved words or what we call as the Java keyword. And finally is we need to know that Java variables is case sensitive. Now let's look into each of these rules with some specific example. The first is we say that Java variables needs to start with a letter or underscore, where in this case we say it need to start with a letter. Either it can be an uppercase or lowercase, or it can also start with an underscore. And we are not allowed to declare variables where it starts with a number. So now if we look into this 4 example here, the first variable here is correct because we have number here. We start with a small letter. The second variable here, my number, M, even if it's uppercase, is acceptable as well. The third example, we start with an underscore, which is also acceptable as well. But the last variable here, because we start a variable with a number, which is 1 here, so this is actually incorrect. Let's move on to the second rule here, which is no special characters. So apart from the underscore and $sign, which are these 2 symbols that only acceptable, Java variable names cannot include any special character, such as the exclamation marks, alias, and also hashtag. Now let's look into these 4 different variables here. The first one is integer. We have a $sign. So this is acceptable because as you can see here, we say we can start a variable with an underscore and also a $sign. But now if we move on to the second example, integer number, we have an exclamation mark here. So this is not allowed in Java. The third one, we start with an alias. So this is also not acceptable. And finally, if you notice, there's a hashtag in between this number here. So this is an invalid variable as well. Third rules here will be no spaces. In Java, we cannot declare variables that has spaces in between. So here in the first example, you can see that integer my number is equal to 5. This is totally acceptable here. But for the second variable, as you can see, I have my and then I add a space here and then number. So this is an invalid Java variables because we are not allowed to have spaces in between 2 words for a Java variables. So now let's look into the 4th rule here, no reserved words. So what are these reserved words? Reserved words are actually Java keywords, which we have learned earlier. For example, int, integer, is a Java keyword. For that we use for looping is a Java keyword as well. Void, the one that we use to indicate that a method is actually a non-return type method. So that is also a Java keyword. So we cannot use all these reserved words or keywords to use it as the name of our variables. Now, if we look into the example here, the first one, integer void is equal to 5. So obviously this is invalid because we know that void is actually a Java keyword. But let's say now if I do something, for example, integer my void is equal to 5. So this is acceptable because my void is actually not a Java keyword. Finally, we need to know that Java variables are case sensitive. So now if we look into the 2 examples here, the first examples, integer void is equal to 5. We know that this is invalid because as we discussed earlier, void is actually a Java keyword. But now if we look into the second example, integer void equal to 5 with the V, uppercase or capital letter, this is actually acceptable because we say that Java is case sensitive. So void here with small letter and void here with a V capital letter are actually 2 different things. So now if we look into Another example here, integer number is equal to 6. This is totally fine. Integer number equal to 6, the second one with n capital letter, this is fine as well. But you need to know that this variable here with n small letter and this variable with n capital letters, they are being treated as two different variables in Java, because again, Java is case sensitive. So I hope that through this very short video, you have a better understandings of the 5 rules in Java variable naming. Thank you very much.